They need stuff that really just doesn't fucking matter at all. Insert Dr. Seuss. Now, call me a dummy, because when I first heard the reactions to Dr. Seuss, and look, I don't hold, I don't give white people the benefit of the doubt, because I know America is so racist that it's structurally built like a racist country, in the sense that if it wasn't racist, everything would be totally different. But I still, when I heard people reacting to Dr. Seuss getting canceled and talking about Dr. Seuss getting canceled, my instinct was like, over what? Like, what's really going on? Really? Really, really, really? Like, y'all canceling Dr. Seuss now. What are you liberals gonna do next? And then I just did a little research. I heard a good portion of Professor Black Truth's take on it and the Rational National. And I had actually seen some more information. Like I had a better understanding of it before. The Humanists. I had a better understanding. I had seen what it was. This is crazy. Like, this is the type of stuff. Like, first, let's look at what really happened. The company that owns Dr. Seuss kind of saw what was going on with racial awareness and was like, hey, let's put a stop to this before it gets cracking. Because Dr. Seuss drew black people up a monkey. And he drew up Asian people up a chink. Didn't matter if they was Japanese, Chinese, he drew them up a chink. Drew them up all the same. And in any boat, that's racist. Now, if you look at some of the text, it got them saying you can buy some niggas for your fireplace. Is it because they dark like coal? Why you want niggas for your fireplace? And why are you calling them niggas? Might you be racist? So, of course, the company makes a smart decision. It ends up being extra smart because it got them publicity. But they make a smart decision. Let's kill it before it gets started. This is, again, another example of a private company doing its thing. And you got all these freedom Republicans and business first, state rights, personal responsibility. This isn't them getting canceled from the outside in. This was from the inside out to prevent a stronger backlash, because people were like, hey, y'all can't just publish this racist shit. And it wasn't a heavy outcry, but it was heavy enough to where they looked at it and like, oh man, this is some racist shit, and we're just not going to put this in print. Now, some people might say, well, why don't you do this shit over again? When you calling somebody a nigga, it's hard to just improve the artwork. And who's going to sit there and let's draw actual Chinese people? I mean, and well, I don't know if they were really Chinese, but if you got a whole bunch of Koreans together, you can call me a racist, but a lot of them will start to look a little bit related. So drawing them up all the same like that, you can't do that. But what, you gonna hire some people to unracist it and then they draw too many of them up the same and it ain't good enough? No, you got to take that out of print. Now, you can put it in a museum. I don't want you to just burn it and for it not to exist. Show the racist past. Show how racist this motherfucker was. Okay? But don't have this just, and the company did wise. The company did wise. Yet you have Fox News that you can push this out there and cape for Dr. Seuss. You got people saying Dr. Seuss doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Look, if I did half of what was in these books, I'm in Facebook jail right now for using the word cat instead of Caucasian. And the only reason why I did that is because I was trying to shorten it up so it would fit in one of them Facebook posts where you got the picture in the background. I wasn't even saying anything bad. I was defending Caucasians because I was saying it ain't fair that Caucasians get all this hell when they're some of the people, they've done the least Steven and stuff among white people. Facebook jail. I didn't draw white people up a monkey like they used to do with Irish. I didn't draw Asian people up a chink. I didn't draw black people up a monkey like Dr. Seuss. I didn't call anybody any known racial slurs. I mean, shortening up Caucasian to CAC, I don't know if anybody has ever called that a racial slur. I didn't call them guineas, wops, gigolos, none of that stuff. I'm in Facebook jail, and I'm not even really tripping. I'll be in and out in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 2 days. It ain't, that ain't the big deal. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm saying that you have a media blowtorch that didn't even look at why this was taken off, who took it off, and what it was. Just fake outrage, and it's ironic. It's coming from the same people that I was talking about in the Young Pharaoh video. Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson. There's a bunch of other people too, but those are the main ones. But it's a blowtorch. It's a dog whistle because they don't have real populist issues. When all of the Republicans are voting against the $15 minimum wage, and the Republicans, when you let them talk, they don't know where the goddamn interest rate is. They don't know that when they were working because one of them got called talking about, I used to work for $6 an hour. And I'm like, man, that's 20 something today. Fool. You just got that dumb side of the game, Republicans, and we let them talk. And I'm done. I'm calling them out because I gave them the benefit of the doubt because I think cancel culture, and I'll get into this in the next part, which I'll start now, is the thing is, like when you had Megyn Kelly go on Bill Maher, and she starts talking about how they got the, I forgot what, the race teachings in school, and she had to take her kid out. And she gives an actually a good example of something that probably doesn't make much sense, to have people in school going about politics before they even have the political education, so the politics involving racism. But then she puts some extra on it. She says something. These are two things that Professor Black Truth pointed out, that she says, like, I forget what this is called, that race. Critical race theory. I'm like, so new rule, Bill Maher, new rule. If you went on national television and said that Jesus and Santa Claus are white, you can't say shit about critical race theory. It's too new for her to come out and say, well, studies have been done that this makes people more racist. First, I don't believe that. I think some of that stuff comes from people who are just as dumb and out of touch, and they don't teach it in a way that really would educate people in a way that produces a actual society that isn't racist. But it doesn't make people more racist. That I have a hard time believing, and plus it hasn't been around enough. So when she talks about studies being done, Professor Black Truth is 100% right. It hasn't been out long enough for there to be studies. So what you talking about? People do that when they don't have enough information. Cite the goddamn study. Because if you cite it, and even if you don't cite it, if you just say what's in it, I might agree to some extent with Megyn Kelly. But she went on and she said something that led me to believe maybe she does need an education, especially because this is white Jesus, white Santa Claus, Megyn Kelly. So she definitely needs it. I mean, let's be real. I'm not a Christian. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a chicken in this fight. The most historical descriptions of Jesus were that of a black person. the oldest pictures of Jesus were that of a black person. So whitewashing Jesus makes people more racist. Because you have all these evangelicals, and if their Jesus was black or even blackish, they'd probably be less racist. So you're promoting racism on TV, Megyn Kelly. And now you don't want your kids to get a racism education. And one of her reasons for not wanting it, and this goes into why I always say my litmus for are you racist or not is reparations. Where do you stand on reparations? And 90% at least of white conservatives are against reparations. And when it comes to white liberals, it's about half, maybe a little less, because a lot of them are in the I don't know, maybe once we get rid of Trump, Trump will be out of office. They'll still be using, once we get rid of this next boogeyman, they'll, and then you have some that are just like, duh, yeah. And people like 90% is more than that. I think it might be that are against it. And to me, that you ask me how many conservatives are racist, probably 90+%. By my litmus. And the reason why I have this litmus is because you have Megyn Kelly, who's supposed to be a moderate conservative, and Bill Maher, who's supposed to be a liberal, though he screams neoliberal in a lot of ways, and he's kind of said he's more of a Hillary Clinton moderate liberal, whatever, moderate Democrat. They both used Coleman Cruz Hughes as an example of why they aren't racist, because black people have a problem with this stuff too. And in the process, they were framing Coleman Cruz Hughes as he's liberal. One of the things they learn is that black people don't really have great tools when it comes to racism. Like if you're black and you want to be racist against white people, you're not going to really have many options of influence. You're not going to have much influence. It's basically somebody, I don't know. Like I don't know how you can functionally be racist against white people. If I can get in Facebook jail for cutting Caucasian to CAC and defending Caucasians, then I don't know how you can be functionally racist against white people. You can go find a random white person and slap them in the face, but there's no power in that. You'll be in jail. But if you want to be racist against black people, you will be afforded luxuries. You will be afforded handouts, like you'll get your reparations. You'll be on Bill Maher, because Coleman Cruz Hughes was on Bill Maher. You'll talk to Megyn Kelly, who's I think, 100 millionaire. And you'll be used as an example of this buffer class liberalism. And you'll be afforded, you'll have these idiots running HR 40, have you speaking in front of Congress, give a damn about how you was running around in your drawers. And that's the type of thing they learn in these classes. Now they probably learn a bunch of other stuff that I would disagree with or whatever. It's case by case. But one thing I have seen is they at least try to break down how black racism is powerless. But white racism is, you can tell the world that Jesus is white. Santa Claus is white. You can use this buffer class. And the thing about Coleman Cruz Hughes is he's functionally racist against black people. Because he's functionally racist against black people, he's promoted. And they're using him like he's an example of black progressive anything. if they're using him, I'm looking at them like they're racist. Because if my litmus is reparations and you're promoting someone who's against reparations and is going to be more effective against it because he's black, then you're part of the biggest aspect of racism on the planet, and that's the ability to procreate itself and make sure that it doesn't end. Because the way you end racism is through reparations. Now, people are like, well, if you do that, there's going to be a backlash of racism and all that. There probably will be, of course. But if you don't do it, you still have an economic caste system based on race, accrued disadvantages that are based on race. And you're definitely not going to end it like that. Now, if you combine it with an education so people actually know, and you don't have this blowtorch without even looking at the blatantly racist shit that Dr. Seuss said and did, then of course there's going to be a huge backlash. You're setting up the goddamn backlash with this fake outrage when you could have just said, oh, yeah, this is racist. The company was smart to take this down. America has a racist past, the end. That's all you do if you're a news agency telling the truth. All this fake outrage.